So I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit about what's going on today. This is a pretty controversial program. There's been some outspoken community members talking about the Beware program and, their hesitance to the program. So if you could tell us a little
Sure.
bit about what's going on.
And I think the main reason behind some of the concern is a lack of awareness of what the system actually provides. The Entrado Beware system accesses databases that are both public and commercial databases and court records that are accessible to anyone in the community, including yourself and the media. You have access to every bit of that information. The difference is that our system with Beware is a system that is in real time. Instead of having to go out and do the research, it does the research for you and provides that information in real time within a matter of less than a minute to an operator, and it's based on an address. So when an emergency call for service comes into dispatch, such as a in-progress crime or a life-threatening call, and it has an address attached to it, the Beware system will automatically query that database to see who are the people that live there currently or in the past, and then provide cellular phone numbers, landline phone numbers, as well as if there's any one in there that had a criminal offense that would be through the courts. And then that information is then looked at by operators in the real-time crime center. And then if any of that information is important to the officer who's responding, then that will be provided to them. For example, past weapons offenses for an individual that lives there, a restraining order that may be involved, anything of that information. And so it's really intended to provide the officer responding more information so they're not responding to these calls
Without any background knowledge.
right,
or
without
anything.
background of the address. It's
Right.
really the same thing that in the years past our dispatchers have access to the records management system, and they are able to look at that address to see if there's past incidents as well. But it takes
Right.
research. And
So because some of the biggest pushback is, for one, it's seemingly very intrusive, right? And some people say, I was this way one time and now my record's clear and I should be able to live a free life and
Right.
not be judged on my past actions.
well, the system will, if there is somebody that has a criminal history, it will have an asterisk by it. But it will also, down below, specify what the offense was and when that was.
I see.
So
I
if it is
see.
something that happened 15 years ago, obviously, that's something that's, is not going to be a concern or issue for the officer. But if it's
Right.
something where there's a recent conviction or a recent incident, then perhaps the officer needs to know about that.
So how does this deal with community activism? Because there's some community activists here who, do have, feelings like, the program, it titled peaceful activists in the same category as active criminals. And so
I don't know what that means.
Okay, so peaceful activism, where they maybe justice for Mike Brown, like hashtag, specifically in Black Lives Matters.
That's not in the
activism.
system, though.
It's not.
See,
in
our
the
system does not look at social media.
Okay.
The Beware system allows for that, but our system has been deactivated, so where there is no social media monitoring that occurs. And in fact, it's written into the contract, not only if social media is reactivated on the Beware system for the Fresno Police Department, it automatically terminates the contract with Entrado.
Interesting.
And we also wrote in the contract that if we disabled a second feature, which is a color coding threat assessment,
Right.
red, yellow, green, and that has been taken out. And it is written into the contract that if that feature is reactivated, then that will constitute a termination of the contract.
I see, I see. And there's been a few other cities that have tried this out. Do you know how many cities total?
I do not know how many, Steve, do you know how many cities were testing this?
Beware?
Uh-huh.
I don't know, across the nation?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't.
But there were several other agencies that were testing the system.
I see.
We've been testing it for the last 12 months in our center and made recommendations or suggestions as to how they can improve it. And then again, as a result of our coming to council in the past, hearing the concerns about the two
Right.
things. And number one was social media monitoring, and two was the color code assessment potential threat.
Right.
Those two features were eliminated. There were no other concerns that were raised to us that I am aware of, even by Faith and Community, who I took members of Faith and Community through a real-time crime center and showed them how the system works.
Interesting, great. So you've done a lot of, working with these local groups and trying to be as transparent as possible.
Yes, and brought council members through, certain council members through. One of the council members sent a citizen through that had a concern. We took them through the system, and
So is it open to the public if people are concerned and interested? I mean,
if
is there a
people-
waiting list? or
if
what's
people,
the-
if, obviously within reason, but if there are people that would like to take a tour of the real-time crime center and the systems we have in place, like gunshot detection, the Beware system, the video
Right.
policing, absolutely. It is not anything that is off limits by any means. We've taken the media through. We've showed them the system, not only the Fresno media, but the Washington Post. This last week, I had reporters from Japan there.
Interesting.
And so we've had a number of media come through and look at the systems as well.
Okay, great, great. And I guess for my final question, I guess Portland, Oregon had tested out a similar program, and they have some lawsuits filed against them for people, because in the Beware program it says that it can tap into your email, your Twitter, and you said that social media is not being included in this program locally.
Yeah, number one, it can't tap into emails. Emails are private communications. What social media monitoring in general can do is access public communication where social media is being used, like when you tweet or if it's a Facebook posting. If it's public, then anyone can access it. You can access it. But that feature has been disabled, and I'm not aware of Portland testing the system. But they may have been utilizing a separate social media monitoring system, because there's a lot of social media monitoring software programs out there. We don't currently have any. We've looked at a few, tested a few, but we've not come to agreement on any of those systems. In fact, we're working with Faith and Community to collectively come up with some type of a policy as to how we would implement a social media monitoring program.
Great, great. Thank you
Okay,
very
you're
much.
more than welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.